Alright guys, in today's video I want to show you a new game taking place in Chernobyl. And while this is not an action or game or anything of the kind like all these Chernobyl games, this is a really interesting game about the people who were sent to contain the radiation of the Chernobyl explosion. And just from all of this, it's looking really interesting. And really good graphically. While this is not an horror game or anything of the kind, there's definitely some horror in this, like realistic horror. To what the people had to go through during that time. Like there's time for this. Can definitely feel the tension. You can die at any moment in this game. In real life too. So you're gonna do all sorts of tasks. In all sorts of locations, villages, and inside the nuclear plant. This looks like some kind of open world though, right? Oh, here's the explosion. Looks good. Chernobyl Liquidators simulator. Let me know what you guys think of this. Looks really cool. So, let me know what you thought of this game reveal and if you're interested in it. I sure am excited to finally be able to do something else than fight mutant monsters in Chernobyl. No hard feelings, Stalker. The Chernobyl Liquidators were the civil and military personnel who were conscripted to deal with the consequences of the 1986 Chernobyl nuclear disaster. Chernobyl Liquidators Simulator is said to be an extremely realistic take on the disaster, where you will not fight mutants and monsters, instead work very hard to contain the radiation, help the people, and conspire with the government in many different locations around the power plant. Also explore and find things that people left behind and help the government take on this horrifying disaster that shaped the world. In the game, you'll be entering Hell on Earth and partake in the cleanup operation of many different parts in the map and stop the immediate and long-term threats of the Chernobyl nuclear reactor disaster. The cleanup was full of tough choices for the Liquidators, from uprooting people from their homes to killing innocent animals. All of the decisions made in this simulator will actually matter. Will you blindly follow orders or disobey and listen to your heart? Your decisions will change what's coming next. Was the risk necessary? What is the long-term effect of working in ground zero of a nuclear explosion? When will this area be safe? Is the government telling the truth or protecting themselves? And why? Piece by piece, you will put together the puzzle of one of the greatest disasters and conspiracies in the history of mankind. This simulator will let you play as many different liquidators and experience the chaos from their perspectives. Some were firefighters, completely unaware of the place they were sent in. Some were government people sent to kill all living things inside the radiation zone. Some were sent to retrieve things that people left behind, and much more. You'll be able to use specialistic tools to carry out critical work and of course avoid radiation contamination and survive the cleanup. Each mission will give you extremely difficult choices, also moral and things like that, and every decision will count, so be very careful of your decisions. The world will have different areas of Chernobyl and nearby Pripyat. You will not be simply dropped in the world of Chernobyl without any explanation whatsoever. There's definitely some people that know about the events, but you will be able to learn a lot from the communication that will happen throughout your playthrough. While you might have to traverse through the empty deserted corridors and spaces by yourself, sometimes you will get contacted by other people, for example your superiors. They might explain the current situation, deliver further orders for you, or simply check with you regarding your status. You can expect them to offer some valuable intel or offer hints for your task to make them a little bit easier. Of course, the developers cannot vouch for the dialogues to be 100% accurate with discussions or orders that actually happened and were issued in the past. However, they've tried their best to emulate the possible tone and way of speaking, and try to make sure that the atmosphere contained within those lines properly reflect the spirit and emotional load appropriate for the catastrophe. The game will also gradually teach you about mechanics and features in a way that is unobtrusive but appropriate. You can't really miss them, but they will also not take away your attention from other things that are happening in the game. They can also be easily dismissed by pressing appropriate buttons. Collapsing walls, floors, and roofs were a dangerous threat to people who were at the time in the location, and many of them lost their life or health simply to heavy parts of the building itself. Sometimes you'll be completely lost because of the destruction around you. You'll need to navigate yourself somehow and find elements that could remind you of where you currently are and where you are going. You also should always be careful to not add to the overall state of things. If you're walking through a door that is already looking shaky, be extra careful. You do not want it collapsing behind you, leaving you with no escape. There will also be places beyond all recognition, places that you will still have to go through. Keen eye will be needed to find a way through maze-like debris. Going through rooms full of rubble and creating your own path in a way will be something extremely risky, but if you are to reach the next area, you simply have to go for it. The art in the world of this game tries to follow the reality very closely, but the developers didn't want to simply throw it in the face of an exploring player. While performing your liquidation task, you might find a moment to check your surrounding and notice something beautiful. Please do pay a moment to behold those displays of art, and be aware those are closely recreated from the art that they have discovered to be either in Pripyat or Chernobyl and PP itself. Everything about this simulator game is trying to be as realistic as possible and follow everything that was seen, told, and felt throughout the disastrous event, so this is gonna be a really great experience for Chernobyl fanatics. Alright guys, if you'd like to see more videos on games just like these on the channel, make sure you drop a like as always, and of course subscribe to stay tuned. Thanks to Richard Westfall, Bruce Rain 236, Thunderbeard, Kianzo Fagari, Rickno23, Diamond Hunter 45, Themistocles, Space Beer Gaming, and Rash Singbati for being a master member on the channel. You can become a survivor member for as low as 99 cents only by clicking the join button below. This will support me and the channel as a whole to continue making videos on the games that truly deserve it.